Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to your Friday Spark. I, as always, am so happy that you're here for the Friday Spark. So, this time around in our classes in Take Flight, if you're in them or not, still great topics. But we've been really talking about creativity and how that comes in to how we deal with emotions, how we deal with outside circumstances, and how we use that for our curiosity within ourselves. And so I am looking forward to chatting about that today because in our classes, we talked about a few tools in this area, and I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about this more. So, the first thing that I want to say is tell you a little story. So, as I was younger, and perhaps you can relate, I found that I labeled myself as not a creative person, and mostly because I couldn't draw. And drawing meaning I couldn't draw to make it look like anything that looked like anything that anybody else drew, or something that when you looked at it, it looked exactly like what I drew. And so I labeled myself as not creative. And as I've been doing this work, really looking at creativity as something entirely different has been a really big piece for me. So maybe you fall in that category, maybe you follow somewhere in between. Maybe you've always labeled yourself as a creative person, and maybe you have art or something that you do on a consistent basis. So wherever you are on that spectrum, this creativity and how it comes into who you are and within us has this really big opportunity to connect us to our body. And so, a quote that I shared in class was talking about that our body is really the space that then can help us be creative and really work in that area. Because sometimes when we have it in our mind, we really overthink it and overuse it. And so, therefore, it becomes something that then that creativity is harder to find because we're trying to figure it out. And once I know that I am trying to figure it out, that's when I know I need to get in my body. And so, with creativity and the activities that we've done in class and activities that maybe you've done in other spaces that really brought in that creative opportunity, then allowed you to expand a little bit more. And so, I want to talk more about the exercise that we did in class where we took an emotion and then we looked at it from a lot of different angles, right? We had 8 different steps that we looked at it. What did it sound like? What did it smell like? What did it taste like? And you really got to be playful and have fun with that. And what I heard from various students in those classes was one, it got more incorporated internally in some of these pieces where it was like, hey, I really picked this emotion that I want to look deeper into, and I got to look at it from this angle. Or I got to really focus on this emotion and found some humor in it when it had a pretty heavy feeling for me when I first started. So, a lot of ways that you can do that. To expand on that, and I touched on this a little bit, is that you can take these words and these emotions that you've identified, take a few days, look them up in the thesaurus and find a different version of that word and do the steps all over again. And just see where that helps you end up and where you end up with that. The other thing, and what I talk about a lot, is sometimes it's easier to be in the moment of where we are in that emotion and be able to use some of these steps to maybe step back and even strengthen our awareness in that moment, or looking at them later on and being able to do this process. And remember, this process doesn't have to be that long. It's just a 5-minute process where you can really look at this and determine what that is for you. And it doesn't have to be any longer than that. What I do want to advocate for is that perhaps you want to do a little bit of movement, a little bit of shaking it out before you do sit down and do that. Any activity, I believe, just doing a little movement and a little shaking can shift your energy before you sit down and actually process through that. So, with that, I hope you continue to be curious and creative as you look at this particular tool and others and see how that can really deepen you into that further connection between your mind and body. So, as always, I hope you have a lovely Friday, and we will see you again next time with our next topic. Have a great day. Bye bye for now.